Good morning, everyone. This is Kathy Mason with Mason Works Marketing here on Conscious Business Zone. Today with my friend Joanne Socha. How are you, Joanne?
Hi, Kathy. How are you? I'm great. How are you?
Great. Well, I think we're going to have a great conversation that's going to help a lot of people today. So I'm really excited that you're here.
I'm
So,
excited to be here. Thank you
yeah,
for inviting me.
yeah.
I'm
So
delighted.
let's start with, I want to start with change because I think that what you've done in your life, you've been very courageous about change. And with this shutdown time period, we are in change, whether we like it or not. And so, I mean, do you want to talk about your first change in your job thing, in your profession? I shouldn't say job thing.
Yeah.
Um, I do have a college degree, believe it or not. I have two of them. But anyway, but I think it would be great to hear a little bit about how you deal with change and how you welcome it to help other people. Okay?
Yeah, thanks. So I guess I don't know how far back I want to go. So you just want me to talk about the lawyer thing and then
Well, no, I think it's really, if you find this, basically, I'm hoping that we're going to help a lot of people
yeah.
through
So
calm their calm their nervous system, because I think
so
everyone is on alert right now.
yeah. I think in order to do that, Kathy, and talk about the midlife career transition that I effectuated, I need to go back a little bit because I feel like change and some of change is predicated on like trauma or crisis. I mean, some of mine, well, I mean, who am I kidding? All of it was precipitated by that. But I feel like the women that I help, the women that I mentor, don't necessarily have to endure what I endured. In order to have, your second act, third act, whatever act it is.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you want me to go back and talk about that a little bit, or should it be, or should I?
Whatever feels right. Honestly, the idea is that we basically are lucky today, everyone in my audience, that we have somebody who has a way of dealing with change that
Yeah,
is it doesn't sabotage you, it uplifts you, it helps others. And
yeah.
and I think that your road to that, it would help a lot of people.
So, and I agree with you. I want people to be enlivened by change and not destabilized.
Right.
Because I say, the way I described what I went through was it was a series of unfortunate events that lasted, like 10 plus years, even longer. And when I went through this change, and it wasn't just like the career change from lawyer to coach and luxury travel designer, it was, I had like all of the big life things thrown at me. So critically ill spouse, and the death of the parents, and all of like financial issues that come with that. And before that, I had dealt with post-traumatic stress, and my son, when he was younger, had been diagnosed with a developmental delay. So all of this kind of came crashing down on me. But at the same time, I also knew that I had had a success in my lawyering, and I felt like I was just being beckoned for a change, but also I was clueless. I was kind of, I call it the ram in the rut syndrome. I couldn't extricate myself from the grief and from all of the things that were swirling around in order to be creative and make the change. So people have helped me, and I can maybe talk about that later, but I really made up my mind after I went through the process of the change, and I lived to tell the story. I decided that I definitely want to share what I've learned, and I want to I don't want other women to have to go through what I went through.
I don't think they have to. I think that's
They
why
don't.
I'm so excited about this, because um, so many people right now had a chance to be at home for months at a time, and maybe dreading the option of going back to the office, whether they've got the golden handcuffs of being a corporate lawyer or any sort of high level manager. They're probably rethinking everything, but
Yeah.
they don't have a clue of what to do, and they don't want the cosmic 2x4.
Right. Exactly. They
I
don't
don't
need a
have anymore.
no. So, hmm. Um, what can I say? The women that I help, the women that seem to find me, um, are are successful women. They are either they're CEOs or they're entrepreneurs or whatever. But whatever they're doing, and sometimes it looks like it's tied to an external event. So they might be facing empty nest or
Right.
loss of a parent or some kind of grief. But they're ready for the next. They're ready to take the next step. But sometimes, we're as women, we're champions for our kids. We're champions for our husbands. We're champion if or our partner, and we're a champion for so many people. But we forget how to do it in our own case.
Exactly.
And especially if you've had a success. And I think success comes in many guises. So I think raising kids is successful, and it's not just being a business person.
Right. Right.
But it's even harder, Kathy, if you've had that success, because it's like you have blinders on. You know that you can confront many things and surmount many things, but in your own case, it's hard to do it sometimes. So that's how I like to support people to embrace their next success.
Well, I think the other thing is that there, at least from my perspective, there's a soul path and all these obstacles that you got to experience growing up are part of the recipe to make you a better person at whatever that soul path is. But if you're caught in doing what you're supposed to do rather than what your heart makes your heart sing, it's a trap. And they're big decisions to make. So having somebody to guide you is almost, I don't know how people could do it without that.
I think, I did it alone, and it took longer. The transition, the career transition anyway, took much longer, and it's unnecessary because you can get support, and it doesn't have to be for a protracted period. It can just be enough to get you out of your ram in the rut syndrome, enough to get you to the next. You might not have a clue of what you want to do next, so it can be just a matter of freeing up the creativity and getting out of the crisis or the grief. You can have grief over losing a persona of a career. I mean, I did with a lawyer, and I had to shed that 3-piece suit, and I didn't know if I mean, so much of my identity had been tied up in that. So that can be hard for successful people. And I know I keep saying women, but it's really, I tend to work with women, but it's everyone. It's men and women.
Right. Well, I had the same thing. I owned my own business, which that was my whole persona. Then I lost it at 40 through a divorce. I had a 5-6-year-old daughter, and then I had to go work for other people. And then 20 years ago, finally got to work for myself. But I worked for Arthur Andersen and ran a division of Arthur Andersen, the Change Enablement Group, with 80 people below me, right below partner. And the costume that you have to wear,
oh yeah,
in that is it's so difficult to maintain. It's almost life draining compared to when you're authentically you.
True. But it can be hard to it's not like something a lot of people can't just do that overnight.
Right.
Like say you're oh, I don't know, say you're you at Arthur Anderson, but you've always loved writing, or you've always loved, you know in your heart that you're not doing what you want to do. But it sometimes I just feel like we get stuck in the crisis or the grief of of that, and we just need a little bit of assistance.
Right, right. Well, I think but the reason I love what you do is that the when people are stuck, that is a decision. They don't realize it. But
True.
when you're stuck, no movement and being stuck is just as bad as making the negative decision in a lot of ways, because you can't tread water that long. You
No.
eventually have to do something. And so that paralyzed feeling of let me just actually incorporate this, and then I'll go forward. Well, I think that's right now, especially in COVID, that's not the right. That's not. I don't think. I don't know. I'm not speaking for everybody, but for me, I want some way to see. Okay, there's fork in the road.
Right.
Trying to go right, and which gives me energy, which is vital, which satisfies my being versus conforms to this.
Yeah. It can be a very exciting time because anything is possible, really. Um, but you were talking about being stuck and not having the energy to make the decision at the fork. That's part of the problem because I call it my Achilles heel. It's so like I would wallow in my sadness about it, and I was so comfortable, and so the payoff for staying like that, the lure of that was very strong to
Right.
just be miserable.
Yeah.
So it was easier. It's
Right. It becomes your story
right,
rather than
exactly.
it's like, oh, I'm a single mom. I mean, I had and then it was like, ooh, I'm branding myself as the single mom. Right.
Right, right. And I
Yeah.
would see, my sister was so nice enough to call me a professional victim.
Oh my
Like, yeah. So everything bad happened to me, and one thing after another. And maybe I did attract those things, but well, that's all in the rearview
Well,
mirror.
I believe that a lot of us attract things so that we'll be able to help others. I mean,
Yeah,
you have so much compassion in you, and you aren't going to be shocked if someone needs help in one of those aspects because you've walked that path already, right? I mean, I think that's the blessing of working with you, is
thank
that, hey guys, there's something great on the other side. Want to come? Want to?
Yeah, the hope, especially during COVID. I mean, I think people really need the hope component because it can be hard. Say you're winding down at a big company or something and you were ready for the next thing, but it's kind of a crazy time to think about starting something new. But actually, that is the best time, I think, to dive
Well,
in.
yeah, I think right now getting online and basically everybody again has had this life journey for a reason. I think we're all pieces of a big puzzle that's created, in every single piece is so important. And so this gives you a chance. I mean, the first part of this lockdown was fear of death. I mean, everyone thought, oh, this invisible thing's going to come and get me. It's like World War III, only invisible, which actually is kind of an interesting way that all of this evolved. And that, but there was this thing of, okay, am I ready to go? What haven't I done?
Right.
What delights me? So how do you help people find what delights them, or do you mostly just get them through the eye of the needle part of it?
You know, the eye of the needle. What I do is bespoke, Kathy. So it really depends what a woman is coming to me for. For example, I've had one of my first jobs after I was counseling people as a lawyer was to reposition a company for a woman. And I helped her through actually like the mindset issues about shedding her persona, what we already talked about. So yes, there's a business savvy component that I bring to the table, but it's also like I call it my jewel box of jewels. That yeah, I pull out depending upon what the person is really longing for and needing.
Well, yeah, so it's customized basically. Is
exactly.
Is that there might be specific things that you go through to have them be aware of choices in each aspect, like balance. I think a lot of executive women are totally out of balance.
Balance, finding your cornerstone, your anchor, and again, looking in your Achilles heel and seeing what is it that you're, what is the payoff for staying stuck.
And so, do you find that people will admit it when they see that they're staying stuck? I mean,
it's that's like the pivotal moment actually, because it can be very hard to take the blinders off and see what's standing in your way, because then you are going to step into the next phase, and that can be scary for people. I find that a lot of women, they don't have to articulate it. Sometimes it comes out in anger or procrastination or discouragement. It can have many guises, but with a little nudging, a little bit of support, they can be brought to the next, over the bridge or whatever.
That's wonderful. Yeah, that's why I wanted you on. Is the other thing I wanted to let people know is that Joanne has a business that she had to do a redirect on during all of this too. That is luxury travel, which the only luxury travel you can do right now is in the U.S. because our borders aren't open, or we're not allowed to go. I don't know. There may be some countries that let us in, but so how I mean, you incorporate travel in your themes as the Wanderess Host.
Yeah.
You want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I mean, the travel is definitely, that was my lure out of the law, and it's kind of like the happy byproduct of like the inner journey, and it was the catalyst for my growth and lasting change. So I did transition into the luxury travel, but I have a beautiful luxury travel design firm, which while I have beautiful clients right now, as you said, everything is on. No one is really traveling domestically, but that's all.
Right.
But so what was your question?
I wanted to bring up how, because it's very innovative how you've used the theme of travel as part of the journey to your higher knowing, to your higher being, to your joy. Basically, really, it's to joy. This is from pain to joy, right?
So, well, I forgot to mention, actually, well, I won't be tacky and show it, but like, yeah.
You can show it.
I have to get up. Can I get up a minute?
Sure.
Okay, so.
There we go.
All right, I wasn't expecting this like shameless plug, but it does
go ahead.
So part of my transition and healing journey from lawyer to coach and luxury travel advisor was I wrote the Red Bandana travel book, The Medicine of Traveling. And, it's all about, well, I don't know, did you have a red bandana when you were growing up, and did you try to run away and put all your stuff in it? So I don't know if today's youth can relate to that, but when we were little, if we were going to run away, we'd take like all of our treasures, put them in a red bandana, tie it to a stick, and throw it over our back, and we'd run into the woods. But then you'd get into the woods and you'd be miserable because even though you had your little treasures, your piece of quartz and your a cracker or whatever, and your security blanket, you realize that you brought yourself with you. So the whole book is really about the inner game of travel, the journey to within. So how does that tie into the coaching and everything? Well, I find that the language of travel and the reason people gravitate to me is because they love travel. And so it's like the trip, it's the lure, it's the idea of a destination. But it's so revealing, I call it the pre-trip journey because it's really, in the end, it has nothing to do with getting on the plane and going on the trip. Right. It's almost like under the Tuscan sun without the plane ride. It's an inner game, if you will. And I find that originally the common language of travel. So, where you're lured, it's so revealing about ourselves.
Right.
What can you leave behind? Where you've been in the past and what you want to experience. So anyway, a lot of what I do is based on, or I try to weave it in.
Yeah, well, I think spiritual travel up until COVID, and I'm sure it will come back, is one of a big category of travel. Now, you were doing luxury travel as part of another facet of your business, but this coaching travel, which I consider spiritual work.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, it's deep spiritual work, but it's light. It's not the heavy. I mean, it transforms and transfigures somebody without the reliving and re-anchoring the story.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
And and it really has nothing to do with taking a trip. I mean, I do send people on spiritual pilgrimages. I've done them myself. But this is more about midlife mentoring and your next act. And I do want to support women in their new business or a new language, a new country, a new tribe, all of those things.
Right.
Travel just happens to be one of the tools really in my jewel box because when I was doing the luxury travel, I'd have a client come to me and say, I'm dying to go to Morocco, but, and then they'd list like some cultural concerns or something. And because of my counseling of women in the law and everything, I was able to then go in and talk to them and figure out really what is it really about. It really wasn't about the cultural concerns.
Right.
So it's all a blend.
It was very, very unique and wonderful, and actually very creative and imaginative the way that you blended it. I don't know anyone else has done that, but I think that your method is so helpful for everyone right now. I mean, there isn't anybody that isn't rethinking and being, if they're brave enough, are welcoming change.
Yeah.
I mean, change is a constant, but we had no idea that we would have this level of change. No one was prepared for this. Well, I don't know anyone who is prepared for this, and it's not done.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So when you do the journey work, do you work a lot on self-talk? Because that seems to be what I see. I mean, you can almost hear people's self-talk in what they say.
Yeah, you really. I try to support people in a heightened awareness of what the neural pathways or whatever that they've laid down. Because the only way to change anything is to be aware of it. And again, it goes back to the blinders and not necessarily wanting to look at things like that. But yeah, that's a component of it.
So when people come to you, though, I mean, you're helping them reframe, basically, right? It's reframe, but it's also kind accountability,
Thank
right?
you for saying that. Yeah, I think that kind of sums it up, Kathy.
Well,
Yeah,
that's what I think people don't realize, that there are resources like you that could help them get unstuck or have peace, because the others, like, you're combating with yourself.
right.
It's they used to, on Disney, they would show these two characters, a devil and an angel on each shoulder in those cartoons,
Right.
and one was talking to you, and we're all doing that all the time
Yeah,
until
it's
we
like
stop.
the good witch and the bad witch, you know. Um, yeah, the self-talk and being gentle with yourself. Again, as successful women, I think we're so used to juggling and being the champion for other people. It can be hard to
Yeah.
be gentle with ourselves.
Yes. Yes. So
Um,
so when COVID hit and you saw all this, did you see a great opportunity to help more people? I mean, after you got over the shock of everything.
the shock for me was mopping up the mess of huge trips. Safaris and villas in Italy and things like that. So that was kind of
Oh,
the shock. And then the existing coaching clients that I had, kind of because of the unknown, as you said. Um, so yeah, I'd say the first month or two was a little bit. But did I see it as an opportunity? You know, Kathy, I've always, because I alluded earlier, when my son was diagnosed with developmental delays when he was young, people came out of the woodwork to help. And that's when I made up my mind that I was going to give back. And so I never had the chance. I mean, yes, you can donate to a cause or whatever, but in the law, getting people divorced or a will
yeah.
contest, while they were really grateful. I mean, I have one woman who still sends me beautiful letters from West Virginia of how I helped her during her will contest. But I knew that I had so much more to that I wanted to help in such a bigger way. So to answer your question in a long and convoluted way, yeah, I think that COVID really kind of like reaffirmed my determination to help more people, to share my expertise, and to assist, to help
Right.
more.
Well, and I also think even though it would have been helpful to find you early on, what you offer is still very, very valuable right now. And it's valuable because of many aspects. One of the aspects are that there's a lot of people locked down with their children, and they're having stresses. I mean, I look at my daughter with a 1-year-old and a husband
Oh,
in a 2-bedroom apartment. They're renting a basement in a house, and I look at, how do you focus with all the stuff around? But then I also look at these people, that the grandmother and the mother and the I mean, you have all these generations in a house. That's very common in Italy. But
very, yeah.
here too, that you have these family units that may never have gotten along. There might have been bad history, and they have it's a survival technique, actually, at this point, to get along, and they probably need your help too.
Yeah, well, I think everything you've said is valid. And sometimes it's just a matter of like claiming your time, carving out a little bit of time and determining that you're ready to go move to the next thing. I mean, some of us are forced into the next step right now, right? Some people have lost their jobs and they don't have a job to go back to.
Right. They have to reinvent themselves. That's the thing, is that how do you get your self-esteem into
Right.
a place that's high enough where you like it's not about you, it's about who you help. I mean, we had that
Exactly.
before we went on. It's like, you know what, Joe's, just we want to help people, and it doesn't matter. The self-talk just can go over to the side. That's that bad angel.
Yeah, really.
The devil guy. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, Noelle and Bob, uh, they put on here, if everyone could travel and visit in other cultures, we'd be a lot closer to heaven on earth.
Oh wow, that's beautiful. That's a
Yeah.
beautiful quote. I'm gonna steal that, guys. Um, no, really, that's so true and so beautiful.
Yeah. Well, I want to go back to talk a little bit about the second act, because I think that um, there's boomeronomics that people talk about, and I have another friend that's doing a course right now um, on retirement. I don't think I'm ever going to retire.
A
I
course on retirement? Wait, do we need courses to figure out how to retire?
Well, I think it's about the reframing of it, where it's
Oh,
maybe retiring from that corporate job, but
oh,
then doing what really lights your heart and really helps you fulfill a deep desire to be
okay.
right. Because they said, well, the Dalai Lama said that the world will be saved by the Western woman. So,
Wow.
the older
Wow.
Western woman.
For once, I'm in the right place at the right time.
Well, yeah, so I just thought if you could talk a little bit about that, because again, and I don't think I'm alone. I can't imagine retiring. I mean, if I'm not doing work for money, and I still right now I'm helping with 2 nonprofits while
Wow.
I'm doing all my work. So I just think the idea of being in service for me, that's a joy. It's not a burden. It's not a victimization. It's not a victimization model. You don't have to keep that going. But I guess I wanted to ask you about the next act. How you
So,
see
for the people I work with, or
it.
I mean, I don't really believe in retirement, Kathy. I think there's so many, and there's a lot of famous people who, well, we've heard the stories. They write a book later in life, or they become a successful runway model, or I mean, there's a myriad of things that you can do. I don't know. I kind of see retirement, or just the term anyway, as like a giving up. And instead, I see it as, and I probably won't ever retire, by the
Me
way. I
neither.
see it, yeah, I don't want to. I don't like the word. I just feel like it's your next success or your next opportunity to do something incredible. And like you said, it doesn't always have to be monetized. It can be working for nonprofits or helping. There's so many ways to help and give.
Yeah.
But because we have all of this experience, whether it's business savvy or life experience or being entrepreneurs, I don't know. I think it's incumbent upon us to share it and
Right. Right.
yeah.
Well, that's the way. If you look at the indigenous people, they always the crone. You always had this reverence for the elders. A lot of other cultures, like we mentioned Italy, because we both love Italy. Um, um, the grandparents are revered.
Right.
There's a different interplay than what we've had here, mostly because we're not always physically in the same location. I mean, our family units, a lot of them are spread out. And
Yeah.
so you have a different thing, but we are reinventing, I think, I don't know if you agree, all the systems. And so we need the knowledge of what works, what's kind, basically.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I absolutely agree. And people don't realize that there are resources. It's like you're a wonderful resource,
Thank
Kathy.
you.
And with Kathy, guys, you get like 10 times more than you bargained for.
That's for sure.
But no, there are resources available, and I think we should share what we have, and hopefully people will be open to the resources and getting the help.
Well, the reason I brought it up is, and I'm going to dig a little deeper with you if you'll go with me, because I think there's a joy that can't be experienced any other way than that. I think that there is something vital that's in the core, and that's why we had this big interruption, a pause before what I'm calling a reset. And maybe I'm optimistic and a Pollyanna, but too bad. You're stuck here for a while. But anyway, well, I wanted you to speak to that, because that's the good stuff that makes it worth the journey.
But so, I mean, some of what you're saying is you do have to get through, like, well, I call it, it felt like my insides were hanging on the outside for so many years. And sometimes you do have to go through that. And maybe that was the early COVID period that a lot of us went through.
Yeah.
But the joy of it, God, I mean, that's why I love what I do. Whether it is designing a bespoke trip for someone, or a woman who comes to me and says, I want to transition my business, but I don't know, I don't have a clue. I just think to see the transition of people that you help, and they get their hope back. Actually, that's what it is. I think we lose hope sometimes, or at least I know I did, and that's why, if you don't mind if I mention your Wanderess Host a little bit now.
Of course.
She kind of comes into play. So she is, your Wanderess Host, Roman Payne is an American poet and author, novelist, and he wrote several wonderful books and poems, of course. But one is called Rooftop Soliloquy, which I love, and then the other is called Your Wanderess. And so I kind of took the phrase "Your Wanderess" and I adapted it for my own needs. So we're all a wanderess in a way, and to me, a wanderess is someone who doesn't take notice of borders, and who wants to expand their world. But it doesn't have to be like the whole wide world. It can be your inner world. It can be your neighborhood, or extending that way. And it's someone an adventurous. So ready for the open, eyes wide open. So it's not like, it's going to be all wonderful, and it's not a delusional thing.
Right.
It's someone who, it's all of us, I think. So I feel like I do bring some of that into my writings, and I'll write pieces and try to inspire people that way. And I think we all have to kind of reignite that spark in us of our wanderers.
Right. Well, that's what I was talking about, is that the journey is a straighter path to that joy, to that fulfilling life. And it's not like, again, if we go into that corporate mindset where everything's goal oriented, and it's this, well, it is. I mean, it's like, we made our numbers, and here we finished the project on time, and everything's so masculine, and so it's not a balance of masculine or feminine. It's all go masculine. And then at a certain point, it's like, where's the joy? Where's the kindness? Where's the softness? Where's the fulfillment? Because we have both in them.
That's true.
And we're not in touch. I was not in touch at all with my feminine side. I mean, because to get it done, right? It's a get it done environment. But the candy or the gift at the end is why we came, I think. It's why
Right.
we're here. It's not, we didn't come here to work, and then die.
No. But I do think like the corporate environment, all of the things are welcome to the party. So whatever, all of that, it can come to the next act. Bring it along because it'll serve you. It'll definitely help you.
Yeah, 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 yes. But I guess I still wanted you to talk about. Could you give a couple more examples of people that when they've gone through the process, they how they felt at the end or what happened with them? A story,
Yeah,
maybe.
sure. It's funny because one of the earlier women that I coached, and she wanted to transition, and this is kind of how I fell in love with travel. She was a travel journalist, a prominent travel journalist, so traveling, yeah, writing for Condé Nast Traveler and all of those publications, and the New York Times and everything. But so the journalism was not lucrative anymore.
Yeah.
It died. It died in a way. So she saw that she had to reposition herself, um, and she fought tooth and nail. And Kathy, it goes back to the three-piece suit syndrome. Her ego was so tied up with I'm a travel journalist, I'm press, I get wined and dined all over the world. Um, and, yeah, and so it was very, very difficult for her to shed that. So anyway, but at the end, I mean, yes, she has a beautiful business, and we kind of worked through all of the ego blockades.
Right, right, right,
Yeah.
right. Well, because it's a costume. That's
Yeah.
what I mean. Anybody that does spiritual work or inner work or deep inner work,
Right.
that you're peeling off all these constructs of what you adapted to get love from your parents or love from anywhere, is that
Yeah.
it's almost like you're putting on an outfit. Just like
Right.
a three-piece suit. I mean, and I wore suits, and I still have some of them in my pantry. I
Get
don't know if
rid of them, Kathy.
they're
Get rid of them. Bring them to Goodwill.
well, but I owned a clothing store, so they're really good quality. It's kind of hard to get rid of them. But anyway,
I know. I kept a few. Okay, I'll admit it. I have a few in the back of my closet. You never know.
So one more question then about letting go, because I actually went to a hypnotherapist named Zolita Grant. I've had her on Conscious Business Zone several times, and she gave me a recording for letting go because because there's so many things that the idea of having your parents' stuff, but if it doesn't make you feel good, or if something next to it has a memory of something painful with it, you want to. But yeah.
So letting go, that's a big one. I mean, and that's where the Wanderess Host comes in a way, because you can't just decide to let go of something without knowing like what's in the void. There's like the Grand Canyon, the abyss. You're standing at the edge, and it's just an empty, and you don't know.
Yeah.
So that's why I always like to infuse the travel and everything, or your Wanderess Host. The hope. We have to know, like, we have to be able to take a step to the next thing, while we're letting go.
Right.
I like to envision just like opening a door and walking through it.
It sounds good. So the other question I have, though, and this is probably me, but I hope other people relate to this, is trust. So right now, there's all sorts of things going on that you just, especially with the election and the things going on in the world. I mean, that same knowing that you're going to traverse this chasm and end up fine on the other side, it's almost the same thing as the trust that you need right now, right?
Yeah, and trust is an inside job. I mean, you can't hope that a different man in office or some external thing is going to fix everything.
Right.
So that's why part of what I do, and I have already mentioned it, the cornerstone is, and everyone has their own bedrock of spirituality or whatever, but trying to help find that and rely on that and working on the self-trust. So if you do fill your red bandana and put it on a stick, no matter where you go, you're going to be okay.
Right. That's perfect. The journey. I love the allegory of all of this, and I love that it has a destination, because so much of the stuff is jumping into the unknown. Especially the destination could be a new business, a new relationship, a new job,
a new book. I mean, I've supported women. Yeah, I've helped women with books. They come to me with a seed of an idea, but they just don't know how to do it and to publish it and all of that.
Yeah. So if I'm going to put your website up again.
Oh, thanks, Kathy.
Yeah, Joanne. So it's JoanneSocha.com, and I'll have it in the comments as well. So if you wanted to leave us with something, what would you suggest to us, or do you have a gift for us?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would love people to go to my website, because I have a few different things that I think, ways that I help and support women and men. Come on along, men. And so I feel like if you could just dip into it a little bit, and then there is a beautiful, it's a time travel. I call it time travel, where it's a little workbook, and you can download it and just spend some time going back to the tinier you and kind of getting in touch with some things. It just kind of like kickstarts. If we're stuck at all, it kickstarts it. So that's on my website. I would love for.
It's a gift, right?
It's a gift, and then yes, I do. If you want, you can get. I do have a weekly email, and I try to just send out encouraging, a little story here and there.
Yes. Well, this is very practical work, and the free gift is delightful. It's this guy, you guys. This is not a heavy way to go through change. This is a light, a happy, kind-hearted way for you to go to the next level of yourself, and really see the possibilities.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't want people to go through the years of crying and the drama, and I don't want people to have to do that. I don't think you have to. I've done that. I've done that for you. Take the help, whether it's in whatever, guys. It could be my website. It could be your help, Kathy, which is incredible. There's just so many resources, and I just think that
Well, I think I'm very proud to know you and to share your information so that you can help people, because I think what you're offering is a chance to flourish in the time of change. And I mean, I was part of the change enablement group in Arthur Anderson, and in fact, people go, "What is that? And how do you spell it?" And so you but change is not easy for most people, but we are in it. I mean, this is a pot full of it, and it's being stirred up, and there's no escape of it. So if any of you, I highly recommend what Joanne's doing, and I recommended her. It's a very intelligent way. It's heart-based, but it's still very intelligent way, in a very sophisticated way of going through this path to change. And
Thank you,
so
Kathy.
that's what I mean, that's, to me, it's a huge gift what you offer, Joanne. Thank you so much.
Oh gosh, thank you so much, and thank you for having me on.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So you guys, please go to her site and get the free gift, and then you'll be on her list so you can find out when she does have other programs, and she does work one-on-one with people. But and I feel like a lot of people will want the one-on-one work because of the privacy and the,
Yeah.
going deep. But I mean, what an opportunity, and thank you so much for stepping up in these times. There's
Thank you, Kathy.
thousands of people that you can help right now. It's just
Wow. And I want to. I want to.
yeah, yeah,
Like you. I like you.
yep. Okay, okay.
Thank you,
So
Kathy.
best way to reach you is either here or on the website. Is
Yeah.
Facebook a good way? Are those the
I
two?
am on Facebook and Insta and all of the social media, but Facebook I'm Travel Far and Well or Joanne Socha. So either one. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you guys, but I think the website might be your easiest way
Yeah.
to connect, that she'll definitely be there right away and respond. Whereas you're busy. So but anyway, you guys, so what an opportunity this is to level up, find your joy, be the change we want to be in the world. You got to start with you. So and this is the perfect time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah. Okay. Well, okay, everyone, thank
Thank
you
you,
for coming,
Kathy.
and thank you for people that are watching on the replay. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thanks, Kathy. Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.